Welcome students. I'm Dr. Sonu Shiva, Associate Professor, Department of English, Government Dungar College, Bikaner. This session is for BA Second Year English Literature, Paper Second. And in your Paper Second, that is prose and fiction, you have some essays, among which you have Third Thoughts by E.V. Lucas. This session is just an introductory one about the author. The full name of E.V. Lucas is Edward Vera Lucas. This is his birth date, that is 12 June 1868, and he died 26 June 1938. He was an English humorist, essayist, playwright, biographer, publisher, poet, novelist, short story writer, and editor. So many genres he has been associated with and he dealt in. If we look at the early life of author, Lucas was born in Eltham, Kent. He was the second son of the 4 sons and 3 daughters of Alfred Lucas and his wife Jane Drivett. The Lucases were a Quaker family, and Quaker family means that it's a group with Christian roots that began in England in 1650s. And the young Lucas was educated at Friends School in Saffron Walden. His father's financial incompetence prevented Lucas from going to university. So at a very early age of 16, he was apprenticed to Brighton bookseller. Then in 1889, Lucas joined the staff of Sussex Daily News. The following year, he published anonymously his first volume of poems, and the name of this volume was Sparks from a Flint. With financial help from an uncle, he moved to London to attend lectures at University College, after which he joined staff of the Globe, and this was one of London's evening papers. Coming to his works, Lucas' publication includes many anthologies and about 30 collections of light essays on almost any subject that took his fancy. So he was a versatile writer, and he could write on any topic, any subject that came into his mind. And some of the titles which he gave to them, they are Listener's Lure, 1905, One Day and Another, 1909, Old Lamps for New, 1911, Loiterer's Harvest, 1913, Cloud and Silver, 1916, A Rover Would Be, 1928, indicates sufficiently the lightness, the gaiety, and variety of their contents. So these are just some of the titles of his works, but they show that he used to write on any light and happy topic. He wrote travel books, parodies, and books about painters. So, as I said earlier, he was a versatile writer, writing on any topic that got his fancy. So you have his works from all the genres of literature. Looking at the later years of the writer, Lucas has a long association with the publishing house Methuen and Company, which published his edition of Lamb from 1908 to 1924. He was a reader for the firm. In 1924, he was appointed its chairman, a post he occupied with considerable success. Lucas received honorary degrees from the universities of St. Andrews and Oxford and was appointed Companion of Honor in 1932. He was appointed a member of Royal Commission on the Historical Monuments of England in 1928. And from 1933 until his death, he was member of the Crown Lands Advisory Committee. So he had a lot of important posts in his life. In his later years, the things became different. Lucas cut his domestic ties and lived alone, spending his evenings in restaurants and clubs. When he was stricken with final illness, he steadfastly refused to allow even his friends to his sick room. He died in a nursing home at Marylebone, London, at the age of 70. So this was the way he led his life and his professional achievements, and the later years of his life and his death at the age of 70. In In a nutshell, if you look at E.V. Lucas as a writer, uh, it's nice to read the quote of Frank Swinnerton. He was an English novelist, and he writes about E.V. Lucas that Lucas has a great appetite for the curious, the human, and the ridiculous. So there's a lot of wit that is involved in his writing, and he was quite attracted to all the strange things and all the things that is related to human beings. If we were offered a story, an incident, or an absurdity, his mind instantly shaped it with wit and form. So anything that came to him in a story form or an incident form, anything absurd, he was quickly able to give words to it with all his wit. He read a character with wisdom and gravely turned it into fun. Even when we are going to deal with the essay in your course, that is Third Thoughts, we are going to see that there's so much of fun and wit that is involved in it. He versified a fancy or concentrated in an anecdote or instance all that a vaguer mind might stagger for an hour to express. The person who is not a writer, he would take perhaps an hour to express what is going in the mind, but he was such a witty and in an instance he was able to express what others take hours to express. But his was the mind of a critic and a commentator. He was such a witty person, and he was able to look critically into the social things. So Lucas' mind was a mind of a critic and a commentator, and thus hideous sustained labor of ambitious novelist was impossible to him. So you don't find that labor of a novelist in his works. Rather, you find his works as witty and with all instant. It has that uh, effect of instantly writing about something. In a nutshell, what Third Thoughts is about, the essay that is there in your course, the narrative is a satire on human weakness for money and exposes how and where money is involved in man, noble sentiments and morally admirable ideals soon fade away. So it's a story about human weakness, about money. The place where money is involved, you find that slowly human noble things in any person or moral standards in any person, they slowly decline. Man is basically selfish and materialistic, and for the sake of money, he can consider, reconsider, and even change his noble and ideal thoughts. So that is the meaning of Third Thoughts. That the moment money is involved, and for the sake of money, man is so selfish and materialistic that he can consider and reconsider and even change his ideas in everyday social behavior. The essay also gives us deep insight into the business psychology and philosophy. So it's not just only about human sentiments or human morality, it's also about business psychology and philosophy of the world of trade and commerce. And here I'm going to quote two sentences from his essay Third Thoughts that show the psychology and philosophy of business. That is, impulse is the negation of magnetism. If anybody wants to become a magnet of the city, that is, want to become rich, then person should not have any feelings involved. Business does not involve any impulsive action or any action that is full of feelings. And the second thing is buying and selling is perfectly straightforward matter between dealer and customer. We're going to talk about this in my other session also when will be dealing with this Third Thoughts in detail. But just to have a look at it, he is giving you the philosophy of business, that buying and selling, if you buy something or the dealer sells something for you, it is perfectly a straightforward matter between dealer and customer. The dealer asks as much as he thinks he can extort. So he's not doing any sort of obligation on the customer. He takes as much money as he can extort from the customer, and the customer had paid it, is under no obligation. And once the customer has paid money for anything, he is under no obligation whatever to the dealer. That means it's a perfect formal thing between dealer and a customer. So there is no feeling or any obligation involved in it. The narrative is perfect blend of fancy, humor, and satire. So when we are going to deal it in detail, you will come to know that there's a lot of imagination and a lot of wit and humor and satire involved in this essay. thanks for now, and we are going to continue about this third thought in my other session.